Greetings to everyone at home. We hope your families are staying safe and healthy. I'm Madeline DiNono. I have the privilege of serving as the CEO for the Geena Davis Institute on Gender and Media, and we are over the moon, thrilled to welcome all of you to our Mira Royal Detective special event. I also want to introduce our fabulous sign language interpreter, Hope Simon, who will be with us throughout the entire event. So I just want to make sure that you all had a chance to watch the special episode, which is airing May 15th in honor of Asian Pacific Heritage Month. And the episode is called The Mystery of the Marketplace and the Mystery of the Sand Dunes. So I hope all of you had a chance to see it in advance. And also, we had sent you out some really fabulous materials where you could learn how to dance like a Bollywood pro, and there are activity sheets. So we want to make sure all of you receive that. And there's more. If you notice, we're going to have some really fabulous backdrops, virtual backdrops, and our friends at Disney are willing to let you use it as well for free. So I just want to give you a heads up. And of course, we are taking live questions. So please post them in the chat and we will get to that in a little bit. So without further ado, I want to welcome Becca Topol, who is the creator, the story editor, and the co-producer for Mira Royal Detective. Yay, Becca, welcome. And then I also want to welcome Leela Ladnier, who is the star and voice of Mira, actor, singer, dancer, triple threat. Welcome, Leela.
Thank you.
So I'm so excited to have you, and we're so excited about the show. And I'm going to jump into some questions. Becca, I'm going to start for you. So Mira has been a labor of love for you. It took 6 years. Why did it take 6 years? And can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to create this amazing show?
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting us to be here. I'm such a fan of the Institute, and it's just so wonderful to be here with everyone. Disney approached me, and I was thrilled and so honored to be a part of this groundbreaking show. I had studied South Asian culture and religion, and always very interested and fascinated with South Asian culture. And at the time, I had just actually been working on Elena of Avalor, which is another one of Disney's shows, and I'm very committed in my own work to pushing stories which have girls in the forefront and diverse, strong girls that we're hearing their stories. And this was a really important part of Elena of Avalor, and something I'm so proud of. And it's just been such a joy to work on the show. So many things happened along the line. Obviously, animation takes quite a long time. And Disney is wonderful at really putting in the research and the thought behind it. And as I started to develop the show, what was very critical for the show is authentic and integrity when it comes to portraying the culture and our storytelling. And so we worked really hard. There were many conversations had with Disney, with the executive producer, Sasha, and myself. And we did a deep dive into research. We also work continuously with cultural consultants, and the cultural consultants weigh in from scripts to ideas to design, dance, animation. It's a very extensive process and an incredibly rewarding process, because being on this show is such an honor and a big responsibility. We have all South Asian cast. We have an incredibly talented score composer and choreographer, as well as I work with very talented writers several of which are South Asian, and other key creative point people in the process. Uh, so it's been wonderful. And we also work with a studio in India, which is our animation partner. So that's wonderful as well.
Well, so excited to hear about that. And we're going to ask you some more details about that. So Leela, this is your first big gig. Can you tell us, how did you get this gig? And also, there's a lot of people watching who want to be you, or there are parents who have, you know, daughters who are really passionate about media. Can you talk a little bit about what made you want to become an actor, singer, dancer, and then how'd you land this amazing role playing Mira?
It's really been a dream come true. I mean, my dad is a musician, my mom is an actress, so I've always been kind of immersed in this world of, you know, wanting to create and, you know, just explore as much creativity as I could. I've been doing, you know, school plays and musicals since I was young, and so I guess I kind of just grew up, you know, realizing more and more that that's what I love to do, and that's what really makes me the happiest. I'm really grateful because the thing that I love to do growing up happens to have a profession that goes along with it. So, you know, that's just been a blessing within itself. But as far as getting the job goes, my mom's voiceover agent reached out to her and asked if she knew any young South Asian girls who could sing. And she said, my daughter. So, you know, when I went in and auditioned, I didn't really understand the magnitude of the project. I kind of took the pressure off of myself and just said, you know, this would be just a way to get into a room and learn more about the industry. And, you know, after the callback, I really started to consider how amazing it would be to be a part of a project like this, and, you know, how much this would mean to so many people. So, you know, it's just been a dream come true, and I really understand now, you know, now that people have seen the show and the response has been amazing, just how rewarding this is and how proud I am to be part of it.
So can you talk a little bit about your audition? Because I think you sang a very special song. What was that like, and how did you prepare for that?
So for the audition, I went on a few. I went on the first audition, then I had, you know, kind of a test with Becca and my voice director, Allison. And then I went in and actually went into the studio and read. It felt like a long time, just because when you're excited for something, it feels like it takes so much longer. But you know, I sang A Whole New World from Aladdin for my audition, and
Very
that's just
appropriate.
kind of my go-to. It's so great, you know, and that ties into growing up. The princess I say that I looked up to the most was Jasmine. Just seeing any type of color and a girl who, you know, is really independent, just, you know, meant a lot to me and really inspired me to be a part of Mira.
So Becca, give us your impression. Leela walks into the room. What made her the perfect actor for this role?
So Leela has this incredible spark, and it's something that you can't, that you know when you see it. So when Leela came, and it was, I was involved with this process, Allison Bosch, Sasha, and Disney. But she has this incredible spark, and that's what Mira needed. And I mean, let me put it this way, also with animation and voiceover work, you can be a great actress or actor, but not be able to do good voiceover work. It's just the quality of your voice. So Leela's got both things going for her. On top of that, she has just an incredible singing voice. And now the songs that she sings, there are moments where, and we have wonderful songs. I love our songs so much and love our songwriters, but I will literally get chills when I hear her sing, goosebumps. So I just love working with her. She's so talented and so coachable too, which is another really important part when you work with actors and actresses.
Thank you so much for that. And building on, talking a little bit more about the music is just so memorable. So Leela, can you talk a little bit about the music, the songs? Has there been any song that has particularly resonated for you? What is the process in terms of the collaboration with everyone around the music? And yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that?
So, you know, I've been singing since I can remember. It's just right along with acting been one of the biggest parts of my life since I was little. And so, I mean, you kind of dream about being a part of a project where you can do both, but I never thought it would actually happen. And you know, we have amazing writers, Matt and Jeannie, who just really bring Mira to life. And I'm so excited every time I get to go in and play around and have fun. And you were saying kind of what is the collaborative process. I really do have, you know, a lot of say in kind of her character, and I think the songs do a great job of moving the story along and showing, you know, the light, fun energy that the show has. One of the songs that I think really made it sink in how grateful I am to be part of this project is there's a song called "Play Us Your Song,"
Oh,
where Mira is kind of helping Prince Neil work up the courage to do something that she knows that he can do. And it's really just this beautiful song about compassion and you know, you can do anything if you have support. And you know, when I sang it, everyone was kind of crying, and I think that it kind of just brought everyone together, and it definitely just made me realize that it's really happening, and you know, it's not surreal anymore. It's just this amazing baby that I'm so excited for everyone to see. And so, you know, now that everyone's seen it and the soundtrack is out, I think, you know, not just kids, but everyone will be able to enjoy how fun and light the music is.
well, I'm enjoying it, and I'm glad that I watched all of the music before this. So otherwise, I'd be like weeping and ruining this makeup face that I have on right now. Becca, you know, you mentioned the authenticity, but for everyone at home who may not realize what goes into, you know, animation, even though it may be make believe, and it's a fictional world, the animation is grounded in reality. And not only the animation, but the costuming, the musical instruments, the food, etc. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because it's one thing to say, yeah, well, I got these consultants, this, that, but you talk about what you did to make sure that even though this is a magical world, it was really grounded in reality of what we hope to experience if we ever had a chance to visit, you know, South Asia. Can you talk a little bit more about that, Becca?
Absolutely. And it's a great question. And it was, as I said, it's something that we really put a lot of thought into it. The kingdom of Jaipur, which is a fictional kingdom, as you mentioned, is inspired by northern India. And in particular, the architecture is inspired by the Rajasthani region. The food is very much based in that region as well, but we're showcasing the diversity of India by having characters come from other regions. For example, we have, she did appear in an episode already. Princess Shivani comes from a southern region. And so it's very important to us to ground it and at the same time feature the diversity of South Asian culture. And it's also reflected in the music as well. So the music is inspired by different regions. And that is so important to us because it's an incredible culture, obviously, and there's so much to show and there's so much to enjoy and to celebrate. And the whole feeling behind the show is a celebration. And that's something we're really proud about. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is Nakul, who's our choreographer, does incredibly wonderful Bollywood-inspired numbers. And for us, what we want to see is people get up and dance and want to dance to the song. So my daughter, who's 13, loves to get up and dance every time the On the Case song comes on. And I do too. I mean, often, and sing in the shower. But I'm not as good as Leela.
Nobody could be as good as Leela. And I tried to do so for those of you, part of the fabulous toolkit that we sent out to you had some of the choreography that you could do at home. And I tried my My light bulb hands aren't so good and my push isn't so good, but I was trying to do that myself. So Leela, jumping back to you, as they say, with great power comes great responsibility. And can you talk a little bit about, now that you have played Mira, what is the response? How has the character of Mira been influencing girls? Are you getting emails? Are people tweeting at you? What's been the impact? Like, what are you seeing?
Well, I don't have a huge social media following at the moment, but sometimes it can be a little bit challenging to remember that I am an influence on young South Asian girls and that I do have this responsibility. When I first started out, I definitely think I got in my head a little bit and thought of it as a pressure, which it really is not. This is a responsibility and a duty to represent my culture in a respectful and authentic way. I've definitely gotten messages from people just saying how inspired they are by the show and congrats to me, which is it's really been rewarding. I mean, I'm not doing it to get recognition. It's one of those things where I feel so honored that I was chosen to represent an entire culture of people that haven't maybe had as much representation as they have deserved. So yeah, a bunch of people have reached out, and you can tell that everyone's really excited. Especially my mom's generation, who haven't had this kind of show that they've deserved for so long. So it's been a great response, I'd say.
And I'm sure it will continue. So Becca, I want to ask you something about, clearly Mira is such a unique show, but can you talk a little bit about some of the other characters? And you have a all-star cast. So I'd love for you to talk about the idea of introducing Miku and Chico. And for those of you, you may know Kalpan and also Utkarsh Ambudkar, who are very, very famous actors. But can you talk a little bit about those characters and talk about the phenomenal cast? I mean, you've got Hannah Simone and Jamila Jamil and Frida Pinto, and like, what happened? Like, how did all these people come out of the woodwork for this show?
I can't tell you how thrilled we are about the cast. We love our cast so much, and the cast is so excited about this show in the sense of we've gotten so much support and so much encouragement throughout the process. So it's just been such a joy collaborating with everyone. In particular, Miku and Chiku, what the whole start of their characters and my big inspiration is, I mean, I love writing comedy, and you have Mira, this detective, and she's got to stay on task. Obviously, she's about the details, and she's kind and compassionate and smart. And then you have the utter and complete goofballs of Miku and Chiku, who are, to me, just lovable, loyal, best friends to her. And in a way, they were the way I constructed them from the beginning. And obviously, I have there's wonderful writers and staff involved, was that they would be a kind of entry point for the younger kids too, because they're learning along the way. And they love food. I love food. I will write any episode about food, and they are just a lot of fun to hang out with. And so for us, being able to write for Kalpan and Utkarsh Ambudkar really keeps the bar very high. So it's a great, wonderful responsibility for us, and so much fun. And they're so much fun to record with. Jamila Jamel plays Auntie Pushpa, and she's just so extra. We love her so much. She's so fabulous. And Frida Pinto is incredible as Queen Shanti. And it was very particular for her. It is an unbelievable, it's so unbelievable that we got her, because she truly represents Frida Pinto in her life, and the kind of work she's doing empowering girls and women is incredible. And that is the character of Queen Shanti, who acts as Mira's mentor and is the one who stepped out and decided to choose Mira to be the first young girl royal detective after a long line of men. So Frida Pinto couldn't have been a better choice. So Hannah Simone is wonderful. I really could go on and on. I just love our cast so much.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit. So when you think about great comedy duos, and when you have, you know, actors like Kalpan and Utkarsh Ambkar, how much is, you write the script, you write the dialogue, but then do they wind up ad-libbing, and what has surprised you about that and them playing off of each other? And have you just said, all right, go hog wild and we'll see what take we like? Can you just share any stories about that?
Absolutely. They're professionals, so great to work with, and they bring their own spirit to the characters. And then as the season continues, as I write Utkarsh's or Cal's lines, I literally have their voices in my head, and I also have Leela's voice in my head. So I kind of know, you almost, it's this fun dynamic of having ideas of obviously who the characters are and then writing to the voices that you have. So I might write a line and say, yeah, that doesn't sound enough like something Utkarsh would say. I need a punch up. And they do ad lib in the recording studio, which is great. They've had a couple of recording sessions when they're together. Mostly they're recorded separately because they are so busy with all their other work. And what I love about what Cal does is Miku is very much a buttoned up type of character, but he's misguided. He's always trying to give lectures on manners and then he screws up. And Cal Penn does that so well. And he's, you know, they're both so fun to work with.
Absolutely. So we have so many questions that I have to move to questions. So I'm going to look away. Oh, this is so cute. So we have a question from Courtney, who is 6 years old. And she wants to know, Leela, what is your favorite episode so far?
It's so hard to choose. I'd say I really love, there's an episode that I don't think has aired yet, but it's about Diwali and the Festival of Lights, Indian culture. And, you know, that really resonated with me, just seeing such a beautiful aspect of my culture on screen and being able to say that I was a part of that. There's a lot of beautiful music and food and bright colors in the show that, you know, I hope you enjoy.
Well, and she's a big fan. Becca, so we have a question from, I'm not seeing the name, but can you talk a little bit about the timeline and process for creating the episodes? Like, how long does it take to do an episode from like beginning to end?
From the writing process.
To the end episode.
Yeah, I would put it at, there's so many parts to it. So first, it's the actual coming up with what's the mystery and what's the theme and what's the heart of this episode, and then the writing process. I would put it at about, okay, well, do you want to hear all the steps of this? Or
Yeah,
just
they wanted to really understand
great.
kind of the block and tackling. And I think this would be helpful for people who want to be you,
Sure.
who want to know what really goes into under the hood with animation. Yeah.
Unlike a live action, it takes a really long time, and it's so well worth it. So we start with an initial story idea, and then once we get that idea figured out, we write an outline, we write a script, we write multiple scripts. Then records happen at a different time, but we'll need the actors to record their voices. And then you start doing the boards and putting the boards together and then having an animatic. And then once the animatic's finished, then it goes to India and to our animation studio there, our partner, and they'll work on an animation of it. And then of course we have the music and the sound that goes into it and lighting passes, so many different things to get that initial idea through animation. And I would say, honestly, probably an episode. Now, again, we have many episodes happening at the same time. So everything's being staggered. I may be working on, in a given week, I may be working on 6 different episodes that are in different stages. I'm looking at I may be looking at an animation from season 1 and starting a script for season 2. So I would say it's about 2 years for one episode. I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
See, takes a lot longer than what you think. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. So Leela, I have a question for you from Ivana Grace. Love you, Leela. And she's a big Mira fan, and she wants to know if there's a historical hero who inspires you. Anyone from real history who inspires you or has inspired you?
Well, there's a lot, but I think the woman that comes to mind is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. When I kind of just think about women that have paved the way for me to be able to do what I love, just the obvious. She's always stuck to what she believes in, and she never gives anything up for other people, I think. And I'm trying to be a little more like that every day. Just stay true to myself and never doubt that whatever's meant to be will happen. So I definitely say Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
That is awesome. Thank you. Becca, I've got one for you, and this is from Preeti Namani. And she was referring back to your question when you're talking about authenticity and how you approach the show. And she said, would you say that most of the writers are South Asian descent? I don't know, do you have a normal writer's room, or is it just you writing everything, or is there anything you can talk about that?
Absolutely, yes. We have, our team is a wonderful team of writers, and we have several writers of South Asian descent, and it's so important to people bringing their own stories, things they want to see, things from their childhood. We're working on one story right now, which is all centered around Kathak dance and the ghungroos, which are basically these anklets with bells that you wear. And one of our writers is talking very specifically about how she wears them and experiences she's had with them. And then conversations come up with I bring in Nicole, the choreographer, and we talk to him, and he talks about his own experiences and how it works with students. So it's so important for, as part of the collaborative process, to have people who are bringing their personal stories. And, my role very much in being, the story editor of this show is to work with people and to be a great listener and to also be a facilitator, because these are the stories that I want to see. And this is in order to reach my goal of having the show be the level of authenticity that I want to see. This is what is the most important thing for me to do.
I have a follow-up question, and this is from Catherine Schell. Did the heritage consultants teach you, because you are so versed and steeped in Asian culture overall and South Asian culture, but did the heritage consultants teach you anything new that you didn't know? Was there something that you hadn't thought of that maybe the heritage consultants kind of brought to your attention?
The process is so much of exploring new things and seeing new ways of looking at things. Shago is our cultural consultant, and she's amazing. And I will tell you, every day I learn so much about the culture of what it means to be royal. And she weighs in a lot about that. And she gives very, very specific details. I'm so impressed with how detailed she is. She will talk about everything from, this is what this character would wear, this is how they would bow, this is when they would bow. There are very specific details that she'll weigh in. And again, this is kind of a timeless period, so we don't have any technology. It's Disney fairy tale, timeless period. And so there's a lot for us to know about the period of time and really make decisions about it. And she's wonderful to work with.
So I have a question that actually maybe I would like both of you to answer. And this was from, I'm going to say their name wrong, but Rituraman. For each of you, from your point of view, Leela and Becca, can you talk a little bit about the male allies and the male characters in the context of the show? One of the things just that struck me was that I love the way that you portrayed the boys and men. And, you know, most of what we see is so infused with tropes and stereotypes. And so I'd love for you, Leela, to talk about it. And also, Becca, I'd love for you to talk about it as the role of boys and men in this show and how you feel about, you know, the relationship. And obviously, Leela, you playing against all these wonderful, you know, male actors. So either one of you want to jump in first?
I guess I could start.
Sure.
You know, I obviously can't speak from a writing standpoint, but it's definitely, it's kind of been a change from what I've grown up seeing. The fact that in the show, I like how you said there's no stereotypes. It's everyone is equal, and they're just friends and family members. I think that's really important. You know, we see a young, empowered, strong girl who has a support system around her and is really feels loved and cared for by the people around her. It doesn't necessarily matter whether it's Prince Neil or her cousin Priya. You know, just everyone has each other's back, and I think that's what it means to be a true friend. And yeah, I love that gender in the show is presented in such a positive and supportive way. That, you know, there doesn't have to be the stereotype of who has more power in the situation, or for example. So, you know, I think it's great that kids are going to be learning at such a young age that if you just have support around you, it doesn't matter who it is, that everyone is capable of, you know, having kind relationships.
And Leela, I actually got to follow up with you on that before we go to Becca. What I also love about the show, and what I'm sure all of our viewers at home have noticed, is that lots of times when we see shows, whether it's animation or live action, there's this competitiveness among women and girls, or, you know, the older sister is mean to the younger sister, or jealous, or the mother and the aunt may not get along. And what I saw was that there was a lot of love and friendship with the female characters and them being supportive. Can you talk a little bit about that as well, Leela, how you feel about that?
Well, you know, the young girls that are going to be watching the show are going to see women empowering other women and girls empowering other girls. That's obviously, I think, you know, step one to having, you know, a strong and balanced mental health. And you know, just as a young girl myself, I can speak to the fact that when I see the women around me or the girls around me being compassionate rather than competitive, it definitely motivates me to exhibit those same qualities with my friends and the women that I relate to. You know, whenever the kids are solving a case, they're always supportive of one another. They acknowledge each other's strengths and what they can bring to the table. And I love that question, because, you know, we really rarely within the show see any type of competitiveness if it's not just fun, light teasing. So I think kids can learn a lot from that.
Absolutely. So Becca, I'd love for you to address that question, because there had to be intent in how you not only shape the characters, but the relationship between the characters, and also multi-generational characters. And again, I just want to commend you because the typical tropes that we see between men and boys, you know, with women, and also women, the relationship between women, is just kind of void of these stereotypes. Can you talk about
Sure.
your point of view on that, and how you've managed that, and also the themes of kindness? There's a lot of themes that are woven through the story without being preachy. So I'd love for you to just talk a little bit about your philosophy on how you've approached that in the material.
Such great questions. Well, first of all, I wanted to say that I've always thought of Mira as an aspirational role model for boys and girls. You know, we get a lot of the times there's, well, this is the girl show and that's the boy show. And to me, she's a detective. These are mysteries, and she's a good friend to everybody. She's a good friend to the animals in town. She's a good friend to Miku and Chiku, to Neil, to her cousin Priya. So I always thought that let's make her an aspirational role model for boys and girls. And her friendship with Neil is very much, they support each other. They both have dreams. Mira's dream is she's got big shoes to fill. She's the first royal detective. She really wants to make Queen Shanti proud. And here she is in this role. And she's doing it, and this kind of blends into your question about the kindness. She's doing it because she fundamentally wants to help her friends and community. And the thing about kids is, so many kids, they want to help. They want to be helpful. They get joy out of it. And I think that adults do too. And maybe I'm just like this extreme optimist, but I do believe that that's true, that in a way we do want to love, and well, we want to be love, of course, but we want to give love. And I think fundamentally that's where Mira comes out of. Her, the way she wants to serve her community is just out of love. Now, obviously, she also loves being a detective and loves solving puzzles, but she truly will help anyone. She will help find a missing bike. She'll help the queen get her crown back on a moving train. So that's the kindness thing. Did I hit all the answers? I think I captured that.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. So Leela, actually, this is a question for you, getting back to the music. So this is an interesting question. Do you read a script and sing a song, and then the wonderful animators kind of animate it to Mira, or do they have Mira? Like, are you singing to Mira, or essentially are the animators working around you after you've sung the song? Like, how does that work?
So it's the latter. The animators kind of match to what I've done already, which I personally find to be a lot easier, and it gives me a lot more creative freedom to not match something specific beat for beat, but it gives me room to play with her character. So yeah, when I basically just read my script kind of the day before and listen to the song and learn the song, so when I can go in, I just do a couple takes of the song, and we have, you know, a lot of room to be creative. If that kind of answered the question.
Yeah, no, it does. And here's another one. We're getting back into the choreography. This is from Kelsey. How are the dances in the episodes choreographed, first of all, and then how are they incorporated with all the different characters? So for example, does your choreographer do like a live action version of a dance, and then do the animators work off of watching that live action, and then like, how does that all work? That's from Kelsey.
Sure. You got it. You nailed it. So there's many steps to this process, but let me repeat again how amazing Nicole is at his job. So what we'll do is first we'll have a script, and then we'll have a song, and Nicole will really think. We'll work with Nicole, and we'll think closely, and our supervising director, Sue, will come in, and we'll all think a lot about what kind of emotion we want to show out of the dancing in this song. And one of the, I love his choreography so much. The Secret Gift Giver is one of my favorites. I think they're all my favorites. So, but in the Secret Gift Giver, it's just such a lovely Bollywood number. And he really, the way he does all of the dance moves is there's just so much joy. It's so reflected in the dance. So yes, he will decide on the individual moves. And I have to say that before Nicole, I thought, oh, isn't this going to be hard to do this in animation? Is this really going to work? I mean, in animation, and between what he does, what our directors do, and then what the animation studio does in India, I feel like they're incredible. So I'm just so happy, and I know our whole team is.
That's really, really cool. Few last questions before we have to jump off is, A, is there a soundtrack available?
Yes, indeed there is. Yes.
And where do we find that soundtrack? Is it everywhere where we go buy our streaming music?
Spotify, you can find it. Where else? You can find it.
iTunes, I believe, Apple Music.
Apple Music, and the soundtrack is great.
And
So we highly recommend it.
are there music videos that go with the songs? Are you doing the video plus, or is it just the music?
There's all sorts of different things coming up. We have different Bollywood dance tutorials coming up. We have coloring books and storybooks. So there's so much happening. Disney's doing an incredible job supporting the show and doing all sorts of wonderful, creative ways to really have people connect with the show and experience the show and experience the joy of the show.
So is there any possibility, this is my dream, that we can do like a Friday night family sing-along? With the bouncing ball with the words?
Disney makes everything possible. That's what I think. So no doubt we have a lot of fun things that are unfolding as we go along. So,
and also a cookbook. I want a cookbook.
Okay. All right. We'll put in all those requests, and also a detective jacket, right?
Exactly. I need my jacket. So we have like a minute left. Leela, Becca, is there anything else you want to say to our viewers?
I would just say, you know, even if you're not of South Asian descent, and even if you're not a young kid, I think that the show is really about bringing people together, and you know, definitely something I've learned from working on the show is that we're all more alike than we are different. So, you know, it's just a great way to learn more about Indian culture and help, you know, normalize diversity.
Becca, any last words from you?
I would just say, I mean, thank you, Leela. I think that's just wonderful, just the way, exactly what Leela has said. And just as a takeaway, we live in a world where we can make a difference. And I just hope that the show will inspire people and to do, you know, to appreciate the little things that they do to make the world a better place. Because to me, that is ultimately what the message of the show is.
I couldn't agree with you more. So everyone, your homework is to tune in Friday for this special episode. And also, I just want to let you know that on our website, if you haven't seen it, we were able to interview Becca, and we have a special C. Jane Spotlight all on Mira Royal Detective. So I just want to thank you, Becca. Thank you, Leela. Thank you, Hope. And thank you, everyone who tuned in. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep watching Mira. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.